Hello, Carol Taylor-Kearney here at Powell Arts, and I'm standing with Sandra Benhaim, and we're in front of her beautiful artwork, and she's going to introduce us to this. Sandra?
Okay, hi everyone. This is a work on paper. The title is Calligraphic Balance, and calligraphic refers to calligraphy and calligraphy lines, and I just kind of thought of that when I did the piece. It's from a couple of years ago. First of all, it's made up of many pieces of different papers. One of which this is actually a found paper that I'm pretty sure I bought it at a store like Michael's, whatever, and it some of the writing on it was pre-printed, so anyone could go in and buy a sheet of that. And then there are some writings on it that I added. And then I thought that some of the brush strokes, these are with ink, colored inks, and they kind of reminded me of writing and calligraphy lines. And as I said, the piece is made up of quite a few pieces of different kinds of paper. This is also a mulberry paper with some other mulberry paper on top of that. It's very thin and almost transparent white on top of the red one. And these are, I believe, Arches watercolor paper, cold pressed watercolor paper. And they're just various collage pieces that make up the whole image.
So as far as all these pieces, are they found? Do you make them and then put them in? Is it a combination? How do you go about?
Yes, definitely a combination. As I say, some are found. The mulberry paper I had, and maybe it was a scrap, and then these are papers that actually were just odds and ends. Some might have been part of a painting that the painting wasn't really working successfully, so I repurposed it, you might say.
Well, they're pretty. They're very pretty, and they're very decorative. And I could see why you would sit there and say, "Well, this might not work for this." But you know what? I'm not getting rid of it. We talk about artists being hoarders.
Yeah, we have talked about that, like especially when you're talking about paperwork, because paperwork, there's so much collaging and layering and mixed media that's involved with paperwork. And so a lot of times with paperwork, like you're talking about putting bits together, which I think is really interesting. But one of the things we always talk about with your work specifically is you always have like beautiful little surprises that, like, when you look up close, you'll see a surprise edge and be like, oh, these are pieces that she then gave a contextual whole to, which is really beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you appreciate some of the, you might say, the finer points or things that you might miss unless you take a little closer look, as you did. So, and also I think in this one I tried to create a sense of space going back in some areas.
Well, it really works particularly in the center area, because it looks like light, and then there's a form I think of as a figure that seems to be slightly ahead of that.
Yeah, and then it's mirrored, space. And then it's mirrored on the other side with the piece that recedes.
Yeah.
So
it reminds me of like standing at the Capitol or the Lincoln Memorial. You know how they have the colonnade. Here's the reflecting pool, and here's the white space, and the figure standing there. There's so many possibilities.
There's such like nice, almost a landscape type of like dimension where you have a foreground to background, and you're both building out with paper on top of the picture plane and then using medium to have it recede, which is really quite lovely.
I appreciate your appreciation of it. That's for sure.
I really like the top right corner, the boldness of that blue with the beautiful like goldeny orange, which might actually be a diluted red, but that color combination is very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, did you apply these little dots and dashes
Oh,
that
yes.
all up here?
Yes, it might have been, originally might have been a little bit of an accident. And then I said, well, I go with the flow and, why not? And some of it was just experimenting with these acrylic inks are really interesting because they can go on like watercolors, but then once they're dry, they cannot be re-wet. So what you put down stays there.
They are called permanent.
Yes,
With intent.
Yes,
Do
yes,
things with
yes,
intention.
exactly with intent. Exactly.
Well, this is absolutely beautiful. I love how
Thank
the
you.
reds pick up on each other throughout. This little area here, I have fallen in love with. And I could see this in almost any room in the house. When you look at this, where do you see people displaying it?
Most any place, but somewhere definitely an active room. Not let's say not so much a bedroom where you don't want something stimulating.
Yeah, peaceful, like a place where your mind is active, not where you're seeking
Exactly.
respite.
Exactly.
But I can also see it in almost any office because they always tell
Only
you
a
when you're-
tasteful office, though, not a cubicle nightmare.
No.
No. Even in a cubicle nightmare, they tell you that you should have something
Said
that you
like a
could.
person who has never worked in a cubicle nightmare.
No. But I'm too organized. But you need to have a place to go to for respite
That
from
is
your
true.
work. Every once in a while, you have to look away from that
Yes.
computer screen. You need to have something
Yes.
that'll stimulate you.
Yes.
And so here it is. So come see Sandra. Come see Sandra's work at Powell Arts